Tuesday was Budget Day 2016 for the BC government, and they delivered their fourth consecutive balanced budget. Now, there was a time in this country where balanced budgets would seem like an obvious goal for our various levels of government. But as we're seeing in Ontario, in Alberta, and now federally under the Trudeau Liberals, the idea of balanced budgets seemed to have been thrown completely out the window in favor of regressive left-wing ideology that seems to have somehow trumpeted fiscal sanity. However, the BC government did announce today that their 2016 operating surplus would be about $264 million. They also announced a number of spending announcements and some tax and user fee changes. Allow me to go through it a little bit with you now. First up are some changes to address the long-held belief that foreign ownership is driving Vancouver's red-hot housing market and pushing local families out of the market completely. The government announced that new home buyers would be exempt from the province's property transfer tax on all newly built homes up to $750,000. It will only apply to new construction in an attempt to spur development and increase supply. Only Canadian citizens and permanent residents will qualify, and it will apply regardless if this is your first home purchase. This is good news. It will be offset by a new 3% luxury home tax on all sales above $2 million. The government also finally announced their intent to collect data on foreign ownership, something the public has been crying for a long time. Specifically, the names and citizenships of individuals and/or corporate buyers, as well as new requirements around disclosing the transfer of properties into bare trusts and numbered companies. Lastly, the government announced its intent to engage with municipalities to reduce the additional fees and taxes property buyers face at a municipal level. On average, in Vancouver, a new purchase can incur $75,000 to $100,000 in these fees and taxes. Overall, I think these strike a balance of the type of help government can provide in what is a free market that is generally driven by high demand and lack of supply here in the Lower Mainland. The bigger issue of municipalities restricting some development and playing favorites with their large political donors still remains the major issue, in my opinion. Next up for the budget was some spending announcements. First, the government is staying with a commitment to increase spending in the much maligned Ministry of Children and Family Development. Having taken a beating, and rightfully so in the media, over the numerous children and youth who have died under the care of the ministry the past couple of years, the BC government went through with its commitment to increase spending and hire 120 new staff, including 100 frontline social workers. They also announced the first deposit of $100 million into the province's Prosperity Fund, originally planned to be comprised of LNG royalties. With low prices and uncertainty from oil and gas companies about making investment decisions, we have yet to see a single export plant get up and running in the province and a single dollar contribute to this Prosperity Fund. Finally, the government announced some changes to the BC medical services premiums we all pay here in this province, and a small review of the provincial sales tax. Changes to MSP were rumored after an online petition to abolish them completely reached over 67,000 signatures and was presented to the legislature earlier this month. However, the actual changes have left much to be desired. The good news is there are no longer premiums being collected for children, but the government has also eliminated the savings that couples received, as they will now be forced to pay as individuals. This announcement was quickly denounced by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation's Jordan Bateman, and I'm quoting, "Forget the nonsense about kids being exempt from MSP. This is a tax hike, plain and simple," he said. The BC government had an opportunity to fix the MSP system, help make life more affordable, and they blew it. Well, I agree with Jordan Bateman completely. BC is now the last vestige of these regressive MSP payments, with Alberta and Ontario both having done away with them completely. Overall, though, if I was to sum up Budget 2016, I think the BC Liberals have continued to try and hit that sweet spot of fiscal responsibility and government spending to attract the large numbers of swing voters they require to retain their majority in this province going into the election next year. In our mostly two-party system here in BC, the BC Liberals do rely on a coalition of federal Conservatives and federal Liberals to keep the NDP out. And despite rising Christie derangement syndrome from the left in our province, I'd say the BC Liberals are on track to keep that coalition together with Budget 2016. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson.